This evening, we're going to start, prior to the council meeting, we're going to have the State of the City address presented by Mayor Dennis Hamwell. So, Mayor, your floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just going to briefly bring council up to speed with the state of the city. I continue to be humbled and honored to serve as the mayor of the city, and in particular the relationship that we've established with the council, with Main Street Medina, and with the chamber. I hear people day in and day out tell me that they have not, in their history with the city, seen so much positive momentum and such a positive working relationship as what we tried to do day in and day out. And I give council a lot of that credit, and the department heads along the wall here credit for that as well. We've consciously worked to establish a positive working relationship with all the different entities, the schools, the chamber, the Main Street Medina, and the council as an administration, because that is the positive momentum we think that is having things work so positively. So from last year, what I wanted to talk about is just some of the changes, not to go over everything that we've talked about previously, but one is the responsiveness of the administration to requests from council, to requests from citizens. And I'm pleased to tell you that I see this day in and day out. I had somebody stop me and talk about a hornet's nest when I was out in my yard. The very next day, Jansen went out the very next morning, sprayed it with the killer, came back that afternoon, cut the whole branch off the tree. It was a tree lawn branch that was hanging over the sidewalk. Young children going back and forth to the Greenwood splash pad, being put at risk with these hornets flying around, and was removed less than 24 hours from the time it was reported. We've had sidewalk repair issues, graffiti removal. If the business, sometimes it's landlords, the graffiti is there for a while, they either don't have the staff or don't even have the knowledge that it's there. If we can get permission from the property owner, we'll send our city staff over with graffiti remover, or they'll supply us with the paint, and we'll just get it cleaned up just to have the community look that much better. We've used our staff to save some of the construction that Patrick has done in stormwater replacement, water line replacements, some of the concrete street pads. We'll use our staff to restore the tree lawns many times, because that lets the contractor keep moving, as well as saves more money for the street repair than him having to pay a landscaper to do those type things. So there's a lot of those collaborative things going on. Nino himself will pick up tree branches. Resident call and say the utility company came through, they cleaned up all the tree branches, but they left these one or two in my tree lawn, across my driveway, in my front yard, and we're not sure when they're going to come back. So all I have to do is mention that to one of the department heads, and those things are taken care of. The Community Development Department is still working very well. The same-day permits, we were worried whether we'd be able to keep up, or the next day permits, and Steve has done a great job with that, Steve Vogel, in making sure that we can keep those things moving. And each and every time I go out to the businesses and talk to them about their processes with the city, which is a good time to kind of get a pulse of how they felt their interactions were, the accolades are very evident. That the people were helpful, the people were friendly, the people got their inspections in a timely manner, and I think we can all be proud of the things going on. The next slide is roads and infrastructure initiatives. Well, before we do that, I'm sorry, I missed my second page with this one. Mr. Coyne's proposal to do the Christmas lighting downtown. Obviously, that's something that had a great draw to the city. The council agreed with it, appropriated the dollars to do it. Nino coordinated the project with the install and the hanging of those, and I know we're looking to improve those again this year. And then last but not least, last year, under the initiatives, was the online bill paying that we put in place for residences, so that not that we don't want to see them, but to make it more convenient for them to come in. Roads and infrastructure initiatives. When I first took office, we talked about the deplorable conditions of the industrial roads. Since that time, in less than 4 years, we've completed Commerce Drive from Branch to 18. Lake Road from 42 to the city limits was completed. West Smith Road from Plastipac to Lake Road is in process and will be completed most likely before the end of the year. Next year, then, in 2013 and 14, we're going to do Lake Road from 42 to Smith, and then West Smith Road in 2014 from Plastipac to just a little bit east of Standard Welding or the fairgrounds. That will then take care of not only additional roads, but every industrial road that we have down on that south end of town, southwest area, all done. The water line replacement around the historic district is in process right now up on the square. Some of those lines, as council well knows, are over 100 years old. And then there's a few combined ODOT state projects. One was Reagan 3-foot road. We added dedicated turn lanes, new pavement markings and new signals there. The lower right corner is a press conference up on 42 to talk about the 42 expansion, which we just discussed at our last finance meeting. But that's using $47 million to bring improvements to the city to help more safely and effectively and efficiently move traffic, which I think will be a great benefit for us. Still working out all the details on that, but 2013 we did, or we're working on 18 and 57. The road's been ground down, the intermediary level has been placed, and the top coat has yet to be done, but that will be done here within the next month. 42 and 3 were moved up a year earlier, again, just like 18 and 57 were, because the city was in a position to do the matching funds when many communities are not. And as a result of that, then in 2014, they're going to resurface 42 and 3 as well throughout the city. Now to show you kind of the pulse or how we're in touch with things, Patrick contacted ODOT because originally 42 was going to be resurfaced the entire length, and Patrick reached out to ODOT because of this project that we're talking about, the 42 widening, and discussed with them just coming up to Harding Street and no further next year, because it didn't make sense in 2015 and 16, if and when that project takes place, that we put brand new pavement down just to dig it back up. So that shows the interest in being cognizant of the overall projects, the saving of money, be it local or state, and working with the state to do those things. Next is business initiatives. One of the big things that we've talked about is action. Not just talking about things, but as people need help, as people need direction, as people need some assistance from the city, we've gone out of our way, as you can see as you look around those pictures, to be very welcoming to businesses, to make a big deal when they open their business or celebrate a milestone like 25 years in the business, or with the 4G, where they were implementing a brand new technology in this region. And then we put those on the city website, so it helps them as well get recognition, continued recognition, as well as show other businesses that we are friendly, that we're willing to work with them. As council knows, we reduced the performance bonds from 100% to 25% after it was brought to us by one of our business members that was looking to expand his business. We've consciously met with the health department every time we get a new food business, be it a restaurant, be it a pizza, be it whatever, because there were some complaints previously with the health department meeting with the food operators, and nobody really quite understanding what the end game was. So by having Kimberly involved in those, Steve Vogel involved in those, now we're all there. We hear exactly what they're asking for, If it changes, then we have some people that were there to hear the first discussions. But I can tell you, since the new health commissioner took over, she's done an excellent job of working with the cities and making sure that all of their expectations and all of their needs by state code are laid out in the beginning, so that the business doesn't feel that they're coming in and adding more things over and over again. We got $1 million brownfield grant. We've helped numerous businesses in the city, in the four surrounding townships, and as well as Chippewa Lake. Nearest to us was the Chamber next door and the Masonic Lodge next door, both where Phase 1 and Phase 2 were performed. Residential initiatives. We kept the parks open all year long. The senior disabled snowplow we started the year before last. That worked very well. Council agreed last year for the 2012-2013 winter season to increase it from 50% of the HUD median income to 65%. What that did is raised our numbers from 39 to 55. 29 of those 55 were senior citizens and 26 were disabled. So a pretty equal sharing of the assistance, but very much appreciated by them. We've also had a few times where the person is not the owner, and that's required by the ordinance, because otherwise the renter just figures the city will come along and do it for him instead of him paying a contractor, which we think is the right thing to do. But we did have a few situations, I won't get into the specifics, but where we had two handicapped people there, the need to get to dialysis, and because they were renters, the landlord was not taking care of them, but yet our city crews went out and helped them so that they could at least get to that medical appointment, and would have been critical had they not. We provided lands to Feeding Medina County for their community gardens. We extended the trail in Ward 3 on South Broadway Street from Guilford Road to South Broadway to bring people up to the square. We have future grants coming then to tie that all the way to the square, as well as bike lanes to South Court Street. We had the Big Day of Serving, which is a national event in April of 2012, and that was so successful that the local pastors decided this year just to have their own day of serving. Couldn't call it the Big Day of Serving because that's apparently a marketed term, so they had to call it Day of Serving. But again, we met out at the service garage and helped probably 50 to 60 different people with just a group of volunteers that come out that day to pick up leaves, pick up sticks, pick up trash in their yards. Employee initiatives, we've had leadership training for all the department heads, sexual harassment training for all of the department heads. In 2010, we created a healthcare committee consisting of employee representatives, both union and non-union. And in 2012, through collaboration with the Cleveland Clinic, we began the wellness program, and the hospital has dedicated a full-time person as well as some administrative staff to help us oversee that, to set challenges, goals. Drug Mart's been a recent contributor to this, and the program is growing and growing. And it's our hope in the next collective bargaining agreements that we have that wellness program as a part. It's a condition of employment. The community government model is working very well. As council very well knows, the cross-training of people taking responsibility, whether it's within their scope of work or not, is something that people are very impressed with. Community initiatives, as you look around, again, we have the flowers downtown there. The very first year I took office, we took out the little boxes around the trees, and we started with 25 urns. Each year we keep adding a few more and a few more, and this year we're up to 71. And we continue to get requests from businesses who don't have them yet, or maybe they're just a block off the square or adjacent to the square, requesting one as well. We implemented a proactive property maintenance program, You can see the Christmas lighting there in some of the photos. Again, what a great draw to the downtown. We hope to see it expand. We worked with Main Street Medina to support them as much as we could with the city and with the city staff, but also to encourage them to look at more events, larger events, more frequent events. And Matt, the director of Main Street, Ed is the chair of the Main Street Medina board, have been very accommodating with that. And people are telling me now in the community and at church and just in general that almost every time they go by the square, something's happening there. Now, it may be something that the city and Main Street are involved in, or it may be a wedding, it may be a church service, whatever. But the fact is the square is so appealing and so drawing that it's used pretty much nonstop during the conducive weather. And I think that's through the work of all of us. The council approved the Key Bank drive-through purchase for us to build larger, more accommodating restrooms now to handle the crowds that we're gathering. Obviously, a few porta-johns or the two restrooms at the firehouse just are not adequate when you're bringing 10, 15, 20,000 people downtown, and we're working to resolve that right now. And then last but not least is the ash borer infestation. The forestry department is working very diligently to remove those trees. It was actually a good lesson for us, but initially all of the trees on every street we put in the same. So if this street had elm, this one had oak, this one had cherries, whatever. We've learned that now, because of something like this, that it's good to have a variety of species, and then that way, if you end up with a problem like this, now you're only pulling out those that are adversely affected instead of a whole street of trees. So it's a hard way to learn, to have to remove that many trees, and something that everybody in the state's going through, but nonetheless, it's positive things that are going on as a result of it. When I took office in 2010, we built this, the lower right administration building out at the airport. Then Miles Reed put together a website for the airport, which is really amazing. If you've never been there, you can track flights coming in for a family member, not to this airport, but to Hopkins Airport, to Akron-Canton Airport. It also, if you're landing your plane here and you need to have a taxi or a rental car brought there, you want to schedule a golf game, you want to schedule a place to eat, you can do all of those things right through that website. The advantage of that is because it lets the website tell the story of all that we have here at the airport, and also gets more people interested in it. They have a community room there if people are interested for Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts, or even just to learn about the history. Medina has a rich aviation history back to the founder of Root Candles being with the Wright brothers when they took their first flight, to pilots in World War II. One of the local pilots here in Medina flew General Patton in World War II. So just to go there and work your way around the room and see the history is pretty amazing. The lower left there is University Hospital. In May of 2012, positioned a helicopter there and a staff around the clock 24/7, which has a great benefit to Medina community, Medina County, and the surrounding counties of having an emergency helicopter like that so nearby. Our problem was we didn't have fuel for it. So the top picture on the left is the Jet A fuel canister being placed there this past summer, and that is now operational for University Hospital. And we're also talking with the Cleveland Clinic to try to get them to buy their helicopter fuel there as well. Representative Renacci stopped he's a former pilot, stopped to view all the positive things going on at the airport and was very complimentary of it. The financial position of the city, we're doing excellent as a result of council's appropriation of the funds, spending the funds wisely and conservatively, I think, on behalf of the administration, as well as with Keith. and I'll explain that in just a second. But we have a general fund reserve balance right now of about 90%, which is very unusual. The income taxes we're seeing tick up a little bit. They were doing a little better earlier in the year. Right now, it's about balanced out about 2 to 5% per month. 2% increase over the 13 million, which is about our average, is about 260,000 or $250,000. Our bond rating in 2010 was AA1. We maintained that rating in 2013 when we did the bonds again, which is a reinforcement of the practices we have in place, and it's the second highest rating available. We refinanced the water and the rec debt this year. 2012. We didn't extend the bond payoff time, but we're able to gain $1 million just by that refinancing with the lower interest rates. And then the Finance Department has received awards which are called Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for Government Finance Officers in 2008, 9, 10, and 11. And you might be wondering, as I was, well, what happened to 12 and 13? They're 2 years behind. So hopefully next year then we'll get the 2012 and the year after the 13. But that speaks very highly to Keith and his staff, as well as the work of the council and the work of the administration in presenting such a positive financial picture. And then last but not least, on the finances, the JED for Montville is working out very well. We're gaining about $170,000 to $180,000 that we wouldn't otherwise see. And as council knows, 20% of that goes to the JED itself, and then the other 80% is split 50-50 between the city and Montville. And it's going so well that Lafayette Township is also in negotiations now with the city to implement a JED in that township. As a result, Medina is winning awards. In September of 2012, ING named Medina as one of the 100 best communities for young people, which is very important, I feel, because what we don't want is to have children or students go through our schools, go to college, and then never see them again. So the fact that this is a very positive place for young people is encouraging, because after they go to college and want to come back here to start their own business or to use what their degree is in positively, that the community benefits from that. And in November of 2012, Midwest Living magazine named Medina as one of the 25 best places to celebrate Christmas. Again, back to the Christmas lights, the beautiful downtown. This year, Castle Noel opening up down at the Methodist Church. We believe that that's going to be just that much more of a draw. In closing, I don't think you probably have questions, but in closing, again, I'm just honored daily and humbled to serve as your mayor, and I give the credit to my staff that are here, and the credit to the council for working so closely with us to accomplish all of these things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. We look forward to next year's State of the City.